Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. This is the LPL League, and we are going to be seeing another game coming up very, very shortly indeed. In fact, we are already into Champion Select, and this time I have improved this cast immeasurably. We have both a co-caster, and I'm on the actual client as opposed to a stream.
Yeah, it's good to be back, and I was casting from the stream a couple of days ago, so once again, like you said, good to have accounts be in the game. And speaking of the game, we're going to get things underway with ThunderBot Sparta. First time I've actually cast these guys. They'll be taking on Virtus.Pro, and while I did get a chance to cast Virtus.Pro yesterday, ThunderBot Sparta have just been tearing up the LoL Pro League. They were previously ranked #1 until Roxkiss picked up a couple of wins yesterday versus Hard Random and Virtus.Pro, and so it'll be awesome to see the rematch of Roxkiss versus Pro. Now, first time these teams or Virtus.Pro faced off against ThunderBot Sparta, I believe ThunderBot won, but I'm still looking through the rankings to see. Because I thought that's what I saw yesterday, but at least for the bans, we can talk about those. Janna Xerath and LeBlanc versus Warwick, Gnar, and probably... I don't know, what's your guess?
I've already seen it. I have seen it. It is actually Lissandra that they've gone to, which does make a lot of sense. So we are, of course, on patch 4.20, so Warwick is still very, very strong, as we saw in the last game. Warwick, the Gnar, of course, still very, very strong, probably king of top lane, and Lissandra very quickly becoming one of the other majorly high priorities. Sometimes not necessarily, not used except like as a counter to certain other things, but generally, there's a risk when you run Lissandra that you're going to get like an Irelia or a Mundo run against you, which could be a big, big problem for her. But certainly very, very high priority in the normal situations that we see. Janna Xerath and LeBlanc all just generally strong picks.
Yeah, and it's interesting to see, kind of the shifting metas. We have now LeBlanc bans and Lissandra bans, whereas before, maybe a couple weeks ago, those champions were not something that you'd expect to be seen played at all. So nice to see, a few switch ups. Now, keep in mind, ThunderBot Sparta is actually the team known previously as just Sparta. They were the strongest French team by a mile. Rank 1 coming into the EU LCS expansion tournament, but actually wound up losing to Different Dimension, a Greek team from the north, or from the Europe, Northeast, or Nordic servers. So it's kind of interesting to see them playing here. And like we said, way up at the top of the standings, which is exactly where they're used to being.
Yeah, indeed. Sparta's a very, very strong team indeed. There was, of course, some... a lot of people were saying that Sparta didn't necessarily deserve to be rated as the #1 on EU West, which is how they got into the expansion tournament. They were doing a lot of stuff to increase their LP without necessarily playing direct games against the other top teams on that ladder. So take from that what you will as it's related to how they ended up dropping out to Different Dimension. But certainly they are a good team. They have always had a somewhat cheesy play style, I'd say. They'd like to run unconventional picks. They, do some odd strats, the hide in the brush or go for invades, that kind of stuff. But here they may not need to so much.
Oh yeah, definitely. I know they are taking on Virtus.Pro, one of the strongest Russian teams. Had a crazy run in the last, I think it was Star Ladder series. Put them, I think, first or second place. I want to say they won it, but I don't have, stats in front of me. And after watching their games yesterday, I think it was versus Renaissance, you can see that they are still looking very, very strong. But keep in mind that was versus Renaissance, a team that I think has just won their first game of the tournament, so you gotta maybe take that with a grain of salt. The big pick was the Orianna for Peter Prokier. It's one of his better champions, and one that he uses to not just figuratively but literally turn the fights around in their favor. So excited to see how that ball delivery system is going to work out. And you also have a Braum coming in, not a champion that we see all that much
No, it's pretty much only Hylasang that I've seen running Braum, and he's not that impressive on it. So a little bit surprising to see it, but it's not bad against Thresh, and it's not bad against Lucian, so that's most likely why they've gone for it here. Gives their backline a lot of protection against all sorts of different threats, which Sparta have built themselves here, so we'll see how that works out for them. Still might have some problems in the early laning phase. But Virtus.Pro, they've got themselves a pretty good team fight. Yeah, and in fact, pretty much, with the exception of split push, that would be the problem if they went for Rumble. They pretty much can do everything with this current team comp and do it pretty well.
You know, speaking of this current team comp, looks like we might have a Dr. Mundo locked in, and so rather than trying to pick a counter pick to Maokai, Liquid's just going to lock in a Mundo, say, hey, you can tank, I can tank too, and it's going to be a super exciting top lane, or maybe not quite so much.
Yeah, eventually Mundo can start to deal with a Maokai, just because in the sort of like, and I'm talking like super late game, so like they're level 16 to 18, they've got 2 or 3 items. Just because the cleavers do so much damage to tanks, flat percent damage is kind of crazy, and that does actually enable him to apply split push pressure. But yeah, for the majority of the laning phase and for later on, Maokai can kind of push Mundo around a little bit, but not really more than a small CS advantage that I'd expect to see there. And good play from a Mundo can easily counter that, and aggression from Maokai can get him ganked. So yeah, there's not much going on up there. Mid lane, that might be a bit more explosive.
Oh, definitely, especially since Oriannas really want to build that Chalice of Harmony, so early magic resistance, which doesn't really work too well against Zed. He's like, oh, I thank you for building a stat that I don't actually care about. Now it will block damage from his passive auto attacks, but like you said, probably a little bit more armor coming his way. But I think that's gonna do it for Champion Picks and Bans. We'll be loading into our first game of the night here in the League of Legends Pro League between Team Sparta and Virtus.Pro.
Yeah, so I think this is the second game. We did actually just see Virtus.Pro.
Oh, that's right. My first game.
Your first game, indeed. So we had Virtus.Pro up against Ace High before. So that was certainly an interesting game. And Virtus.Pro that game took up like this quite a clever level 1 strat. They knew they were up against a Warwick jungle, and they invaded him with the top AD and support while he was doing his Gromp. And they were not able to kill him there, but they really, really slowed him down, wasted his smite, that kind of stuff. So it was quite clever. And then they did a 2v1, which gave them an advantage because they were shutting down the enemy's Jace. And, Ace actually had a lot of problems as a result of that level 1 fight. But then Ace just kind of came back and started team fighting, and then they just won.
Yeah, and Aces High, a team that I expected to do very, very well in this tournament. They have it's pretty much the former backbone of different or not was it different? No, Dark Passage, Turkish team. But I guess the unfortunate reality is that sometimes it just doesn't pay off. So looking forward to seeing ThunderBot Sparta playing once again, this time versus Virtus.Pro, kind of an upgrade in competition, but one that I certainly hope can hold their own. I always like casting international tournaments just because you get to see like so many different regions play off against one another, and the CIS represented by Virtus.Pro versus the French team of ThunderBot Sparta, all spawning out onto the Rift.
Yes, indeed. Everybody waiting around for that. Just a couple of seconds. We are onto the new Rift, of course. And it looks to me like Virtus.Pro. Well, I think they're probably not going to be going for any kind of aggression. And I wouldn't expect it out of ThunderBot Sparta either. But you never quite know. It's always possible when you've got a Thresh. And they are as a 5-man right now. So best be keeping an eye on that, and if they keep going and keep like quite an upwards angle here, sneak around onto that Mundo, he's not going to see them before he's in hook range.
Oh man, it's going to be very sneaky. Now Power of Dreams is standing off to the far side. He will see them in time, and then It's just like, ha, I see what you did there. And then everybody's just going to back off. So, invade attempt has been thwarted, and good positioning there by Power of Dreams. Just to keep things safe and sound for early game and not let ThunderBot Sparta get off to any early shenanigans.
Yeah, I would have actually liked it if Licrit had gone for a counter invade there, because 5 people were spotted in that top lane, so it was perfectly safe to go and ward the enemy red, and hence be able to tell definitely where Sean's had started. Or warn the enemy golems, I guess, nowadays. But regardless, it has not.
Krugs, Spuddington?
They are golems to me, and they always will be. So there you go. Krugs and Gromps isn't even that distinct. There you go.
Yeah, I mean, I guess they are technically still made of stone, and they are animated, so...
They are golems.
Maybe they're just types of golems.
I think it makes sense. Like... Giving the frog a name, that's fine, because it's like, there's just one of this frog. He's special. He has a name. He's called Gromp. But they're just golems to me. They're just meat for the grinder.
Now, interesting to see that Power of Dreams and Licrit are invading this blue buff, because they can definitely do it. Dr. Mundo Cleavers are so incredibly strong at dealing with, high HP targets, just because they deal percentage health damage, and exactly what you're seeing right now, Licrit and Power of Dreams are going for a blue buff invade that not only pushes Sean's off of it, but it's going to push Steve off of it too, because they're doing a lane swap, and it's going to allow the top laner to steal away a jungle buff. What is this strategy?
This is exactly what they did last time, or very, very similar anyway, and it enables them as 2v1 so they don't have to deal with the direct 2v2 matchup, which wouldn't be ideal. Corki is not quite as strong in that ultra early game. And as you say, it really, really damages the jungle. It even damages the top lane follow along. So, yeah, really, really nice stuff. We did see Lunette go for a counter invade and sort of mess about with Mirror End, but Mirror End has come out a lot better from that than Sean's.
No, definitely Sean's going to be pretty far behind, but all that said, Mirror did have to take a trip back to base early on, and wasn't actually able to pick up any, concrete items, so not able to pick up an early Ranger's Trailblazer, which should be the item that we're expecting him to go. And even though even though Sean's did lose a buff, he's still back in the jungle, he's double jungling, and so he would have been a little bit farther behind anyway, just because he is splitting that HP with Steve.
Alrighty then. So, looks like right now, well, we're going to see a hook on the bot lane. He's going under.
Wait, what? What is Lunette doing? He's going to run out the backside of that. It's actually going to let Nono tank things. He's going to take one too many turrets out. Whoa, flash through for first blood. Nono.
Wow.
Yeah, got the kill now, Lunette. I was pretty scared about that. He could have taken that last turret shot and died, but you know exactly what he was doing. It's going to kill off Power of Dreams. But wait, they're just going to go for a redive.
Yeah,
here.
now that was dumb.
Start taking. I'm not sure if this is necessarily the best executed dive I've ever seen. Once Lunette missed the hook, it was kind of over.
Yeah, that was very, very messy indeed, and we're seeing a very much a mirror up the top lane.
Oh man, the twisted advance outside the turret. Vincent Vega almost goes down, but it's going to be Nono going for another dive down bottom. 2 executions top lane and 2 kills bottom lane. I'd say Sparta definitely know what they're doing.
I mean, yeah, it's definitely worth being executed in order to get a kill, but that was still
2 executions. You just have to hit the guy.
Yeah, I guess they're just too busy trying to run for their own lives, but oh well, it seems like Sparta has indeed come out on top there with the aggression there. And it's also meaning, by the way, that Zed can play really aggressive in the mid lane, which is why Ori is so low.
Yeah, Zed can, Starry can just do whatever he wants. He knows that, they're too busy trying to, like, sit underneath other side lane turrets and kill these side laners, but at least for the time being, first turret of the game is going to go over to ThunderBot Sparta, and man, have they ever stomped on Power of Dreams. They've killed him twice, and that was before 5 minutes.
Yep, that is how you deal with the Mundo traditionally. We haven't seen him in a long time except as a counter pick, but it's occurring to me now, actually. This is more about like the future than what's going on in this game. But we're going to be seeing a lot more 2v1s with the dragon changes that are coming in the next patch. Because remember, you can't juggle the aggro anymore, which means doing it at level 3, level 4, even up till like level 5 or 6 is going to be really, really risky and dangerous. So you don't necessarily need equal numbers in the bot lane to contest an early dragon.
Well, and it counts as a spell, as a magic damage, so it's not going to be able to be blocked out by things like Pantheon's passive. And, you know, champions that spec early armor for jungling won't be able to, you know, block its damage as effectively because it's going to be a magic damage. So some interesting changes coming in the next patch. I was reading them, and they're actually changing minion HP too. So you get higher minion HP, and I'm just like, well, is that going to make you last it more differently? I don't know, but looking at bottom lane, we're going to see Twisted advance on into Power of Dreams. There's the follow-up and last auto attack from Sean's to take him out.
Yeah, Sparta's building themselves up a bit of a head of steam here.
There's a Death Sentence top lane onto Liquid. Exhaust will keep Noda from doing too much damage. And Mirror's Head gets juked off to the wrong side. But the flash in, and there's the smite used. Aggressive smite there from the Stalker's Blade. Giving you 50 seconds, 50% slow for 2 seconds. That's all the time they needed.
Well, hey, fair play. Good counter there. Mirror End should be able to get himself out of that, so no worries for him. But both of the teams are very mixed up here. They're just going all over the place. And really, I'd like to see Istari trying to roam right now. Seems like a Zed in this environment would have a lot of potential to set up a gank.
And there you go, first dragon of the game. Gonna go over ThunderBot Sparta very early on. Almost perfect job juggling that dragon aggro, or dragro, for between Sean's and Steve. I don't think they actually even took damage, which, like you said, makes me really glad for the changes coming up where dragon can actually deal damage to the people killing it.
Yeah, I mean, as it is, it does have an aspect where, like, if you are contesting it and they're trying to do the dragon juggle, it's really, really hard. So it does kind of, yeah, it doesn't completely neuter Dragon's effectiveness is what I'll say, as it is. But I think it'll be interesting to see how it works out. It's always been a bit of a weird mechanic that you can do that. So yeah, no, I am in support of this plan, but it might lead to some quite interesting meta changes, I think.
Yeah, it's definitely going to make it harder.
Ooh.
Apologies for that. It's definitely going to make it harder to do early on. So we'll see if dragon times get later and later. But what was very early this game was the dives coming out of Lunette. No Death Sentence just barely missing. They're up in the top lane, but you can't dive 2v2 lanes quite as easily. You gotta know Lunette is a little bit more sad about that because he's been doing that for every minute of the game so far. But things actually cooling down for just a little bit. Mirror's End denying some vision out there on the map in the mid lane. Of course, if he chooses to wrap around the other side, there's some more ward coverage there. But wow, No taking a big rock into the face. And there is the box coming out, blocking out Liquid. He's just blocking as many walls as he possibly can. And the minions doing the rest of the blocking work to take care of the culling.
Yeah, that's going to give them an advantage, though. No heal used by No in that scenario. And they've got the wave pushed out so they can back off. Unless they take a rocket, but is not going to check that. And neither are the junglers going to have any influence at all. With Vi now quite close to Lee Sin. Not going to actually result in anything right now, but just seeing some aggression across the board. And Virtus.Pro, I think they could be reasonably happy with how they're recovering Mundo.
Yeah, Sean's missed his cue there. He's trying to go in for a Razorback steal, and he's still trying for it. He's just baiting out Peter Pokier. He's like, do you want to come deal with this? Guess not, and he will get that smite off. Gonna get wombo comboed right into the lantern. He'll get out safe and sound, but holy cow, what just happened there?
That was just a full ulti. They thought they could kill Sean's, basically, but the support was there. And that was something they just didn't take account of beforehand. Obviously, not a lot of vision from Virtus.Pro means they don't necessarily know where Lunette is roaming around right now. They expected him to go back to top lane, because that's where the AD was, but he knew that the bot lane from Virtus.Pro wouldn't be back there in time.
And now top lane, speaking of being back there in time, as soon as they leave the lane, it's starting up right again. Now, Death Sentence onto Liquid, probably not the best target. Look at the Lanterns coming backwards. I don't think Nono wants to take that forward.
Nah, that would put him right into the firing line. But still, that was not a bad trade. Lunette's got a lot of health potions he can heal back up. They can get Liquid lower. He can't be aggressive to punish Nono for his low health. So, yeah, there we go. Minions all good right now. And Vega pretty low. So he needs to be very, very careful about respecting this. One hook. Or a culling. Could potentially be the end of him, but that was pretty rough there by Nono.
Yeah, so Nono and Lunette, man, you gotta give these guys credit for trading so aggressively and really realizing the extent of of things they can get away with. Now, Sean's and Lunette, they definitely know that there's stuff around the corner, but I don't think they'll be able to clear a ward deep enough. That Razorback buff is going to expire just in the nick of time. There's actually another sweeper, but not something that Liquid's going to be able to use. A 3-on-2 very deep behind enemy lines. Sean's and then Lunette had to get out in a hurry, but that's the second turret of the game destroyed for ThunderBot Sparta. They'll pick up both top and bottom turrets now.
Yeah, and off the back of this, they're getting a very, very farmed Lucian. He is up to 100 CS. He is always pushing. And while Mundo has started to recover for Virtus.Pro, he has been out of the game this entire time. And that's going to be a bit of an issue for him. Because even now, he's still stacking a lot of magic resist just to deal with Maokai. But that's not going to help him against the rest of the team here. And that's where the power is going to lie from TBS.
Yeah, you can only spend so much of the game actually itemizing against your lane. That's why you pick more than just an all AD or all ability power-based team comp, so that you have multiple damage types. And I mean, if you build magic resistance and you don't deal with things like Zed, like Lucian, who are going to be very strong, then you're going to pay for it in the end.
I mean, as it stands, Zed might even be able to, if you could get on him, take him down with like a full combo, but well, we'll see what he goes for in the future. Of course, Mundo does have the privilege of being able to build pure tank, wasted arm, W.
And there you go, as you like, perfect gank from Mirazen. Like you said, that W, not quite on point.
Yeah, you got to be careful, because you want to use it for harass. That's always the temptation as Zed. It can double up on your Q and gives you all those other things, but
big
dangerous.
Coming in the glacial fissure.
Nice.
Huge Lee Sin kick backwards. Sean's looking good, but now the follow-up off of the back of that Power of Dreams doing a good job of blocking things out, keeping the rest of his team safe. The chase is on, though. Dragon is live. And with a big kick like that to set things up, it looks like ThunderBot Sparta might just be in the spot they want to be. Flash out from Power of Dreams. And as the flame, Death Sentence catching Vincent Vega. He's going to go down. Liquid's dead as well. And this is just going to go from bad to worse for Virtus.Pro. Flash out from Peter Pokier and guaranteed blue buff and a dragon. Big move there by TBS.
That feeling when your Valkyrie gets cancelled by a hook. Really bad. But it was pretty good there by TBS to be doing the chase down. Virtus.Pro just did not have any realistic answer. And now TBS get themselves the dragon. First dragon, they've got the tower advantage. And it was partly as well that fight due to the fact that Power of Dreams, as we mentioned before, he was so squishy that culling took him down by almost all of his health.
Yeah, that culling, gotta talk about the same thing that we mentioned earlier. Building magic resistance is not gonna help you against, I want to say, a primarily attack damage team. Like, the only one that's gonna be dealing magic damage is, I guess, maybe Thresh, but mostly Steve. And even he's not gonna be dealing all that much of it. So a first item Spirit Visage will help Dr. Mundo regenerate, but it's not going to help him at all against the majority of the damage coming out from Sparta.
That's pretty much the only magic resist item he can afford to go for this game, unless he wants to sacrifice some of his full build strength. So, yeah, I'm expecting to see like all this stuff, Ninja Tabby, you know, the works when it comes to armor, if the game goes long enough. But at the moment, Sparta's building themselves up a lot of advantage, and Virtus.Pro, I'm not sure where their strength lies. Corki is doing pretty well, but he's not doing as well as Lucian.
Oh, not at all. And of course, Lucian and Corki have very different power spikes as well. Going into the top lane, though, Mirazen gonna try to engage onto Steve. Get all that damage reduction, but will it reduce enough? Sources say no. In a 2v1, Mirazen's gonna pick up 1 kill. But bottom lane, it's the exact same situation. Whoa, Vincent Vega lives with 2 HP, but finally goes down there to Sean's.
Yeah, and meanwhile, no, forced a flash away from Broma. Will be legging it right now, trying to get away. Lunette wants to save him, but can he?
Oh my gosh, the Licorice is gonna
why would you take that?
Whoa! Yeah, not a good place to be at all, but Lunette very, very low. Power of Dream still trying to get in onto that. He's actually gonna turn around and start fighting. Sean's just way too mobile. Trying to get away from this. Lunette's out. Nono's out, and everybody's safe and sound here, except for Licorice, who might be in a little bit of a rough spot. He's going to use that stand behind me to a minion, but the flash back in from his Starry. There to pick up the kill.
And they're not going to kill Power of Dreams, though, and if they get stuck in a sustained fight, that could be bad.
Whoa, Sean's taking 1,000,000 damage, and with a death sentence to pull Mirror End underneath the turret, might have seen a turnaround on that fight, but either way, ThunderBot Sparta, almost every single member just barely getting away with the narrowest of HP.
Alright, so that does give Virtus.Pro an advantage in that they can get this tower. The fight dragged on so long with so many people spending so much time saving the lives of the rest of their team on TBS. It was very, very protracted in terms of effort, but probably worth it, keeping them all alive in the end, I believe. And TBS continue to look very, very strong. There is a concern for them, though, in one respect, in that their AoE is going to be pretty weak, which means their direct team fight is going to be pretty dodgy.
Gonna be a little bit dodgy, and I guess the biggest dodges that I'm expecting are gonna have to come out of, oddly enough, Power of Dreams. He's sitting with nothing but a Spirit Visage, and he actually has 1,200 gold in his inventory, so maybe he goes back to base and picks up like a Giant's Belt, but that's still no armor coming back his way. Plus, Giant's Belt was, I believe, recently just nerfed a little bit, so it's probably not necessarily your go-to item either. He does pick that Giant's Belt up and head back out of base, so no boots. Okay, well, fine. Caster's Curse. Right as I say that, he buys Boots of Speed. But
yeah, I don't think he'll go Giant's Belt. I don't think he'll go Boots.
Damn you, Power of Dreams. Anyway, he does pick up some extra defenses, but still no armor versus a full damage Sparta team.
Yeah, he's going to start picking a decent amount up now just off of his base stats, but it's nothing compared to what he wants to be sitting on right now. And Zed has, of course, gotten quite strong now, so he's going to be able to just split push. Istari Zed, by the way, is very, very good. And Lunette.
Yeah, death sentence by Lunette and Sean's, even though they aren't looking for a kill on the Power of Dreams, they know that they got a pretty good chance of harassing him down. Chase is good, Spuddington, and now that Mirazen's gonna go in, Sean's could be in a little bit of trouble. He's gonna go down, but coming off to the side, a Deathmark follows him over the wall and an instantaneous recall back to the shadow. Valkyrie over there by Vincent Vega, but look at the huge turnaround. They're just coming out from Peter Poke here. Virtus.Pro actually not doing too badly in this, and Steve's just gonna pop. Now No and Istari are off to the back of the fight, but only one casualty here for Virtus.Pro and a blue buff coming their way. Wait a second, where did that blue buff go? It was taken by No, so at least ThunderBot Sparta get a buff to their name, but a great team fight by Virtus.Pro.
I've honestly got to criticize Istari there. I was just hyping him up, but his death mark onto Mirror End definitely ensured that Mirror End died, but it also meant he couldn't threaten any Corki damage away. He couldn't threaten Orianna very much, so he was just sat there throwing in the odd Razor. I'm just not even going to comment on that. Razor Shuriken. And
well, the Razor back camp apparently just as effective as the Razor Shurikens.
More so, in fact. Istari couldn't do jack in that fight, as I was just saying. So yeah, with no threat, of course, and that really clumped up fight, and Corki and Orianna just sat there doing all that damage, and Maokai in the middle of it as well. All that AoE stacks up. I can easily overcome a gold disadvantage like that.
Man, I just really impressed, and finally some armor starting to come out there for Power of Dreams. He's picked up 40 of that in the chain vest, and maybe things starting to turn around a little bit. Virtus.Pro, they pick up a team fight win, and Dragon is still up, so definitely something that they can fight. Lunette a little bit out of position. He's gonna get slowed out by their concussive blows. Forced to flash away here, and Power of Dreams actually gonna turn on his ultimate. Big command shockwave, not big at all. Misses just about everything, and Steve's kiting back to the back. Vincent Vega can't kite away from it. Steve's just gonna pop him by activating that vengeful Maelstrom. Power of Dreams, the last member alive. He's gonna go down, and just like that, ThunderBot Sparta back in the game, and showing Virtus.Pro they mean business. They might have lost the last fight, but they'll take the dragon and win this fight to give themselves, I believe that is the 3rd dragon buff of the game.
And that was just the complete reverse of the previous fight for them. TBS that time were on the back line by the time the fight started. Istari pulled a really nice death mark onto Orianna. Meant her shockwave was completely wasted, and of course he was able to put down maximum damage, burst her out, and of course we saw the result of that with no damage threats, with Corki zoned out for some of the fight and then bursted out at the end. There is nothing that Virtus.Pro could do.
Nothing at all, and after that fight, you gotta think about things like dragon buffs, maybe coming in a little bit ahead of schedule. You get 5 of those, and I don't know how many games have you cast in Spuddington where a team will get all 5 dragon buffs.
0. I have not yet seen it.
Oh, Death Sentence there on a Peter Poker. There's an engage all the way through, and even though Liquid's there to try to help him out, not going to be able to survive very long. We got a rotation mid by Sean. He's going to come into the fight, but with Vincent Vega coming in, another Death Sentence here on Amir's end. Can they kill him in time? Steve actually very, very low, and he's going to go down there. Mirror end still low as well, and he'll probably die to the Ignite. Yep, taking down is going to take him down. Death Mark into the fight on a Vincent Vega is gonna take him down, but oh my gosh, Liquid's gonna die now too. And ThunderBot Sparta turning this fight around. Lunette's got 1 death sentence. No, not gonna go for it on the Power of Dreams.
Sparta are just playing a game of see hero, kill hero right now. They are going in on every fight. No, I don't think they're thinking about it too much, about whether it's a good idea or not. They're just going in and doing what they can, and it's working for them. They're getting as many fight wins as you can realistically want, and Virtus.Pro are very rarely able to take advantage of it. And again, it's partly down to the fact that this Mundo is so squishy, partly due to the fact that they're just having a hard time dealing with Istari.
Istari at this point, 4-1-5, has got Blade of the Ruin King, looking for a Last Whisper or Hex Drinker, depending on which way he wants to go with that, but he's just got more damage than he knows what to do with. He's 50 CS up over Pieter Poke here in that 1v1. But it's not even the only one that matters anymore. You'd think, hey, maybe there's a chance for an advantage for Orianna to, turn team fights around with command shockwaves, but he just hasn't hit any of them. And with your jungler Mirror End building a Black Cleaver as his 2nd item, it's going to be dealing a lot of damage, but may not last long enough to deliver that ball where it's needed.
Yeah, I think he's going for that item on the grounds that he wants to be able to jump on Zed when Zed goes in. And obviously the ult is like a guaranteed hit, so it's pretty hard to juke anything with the death mark from Vi, and then maybe he can burst him out before he can burst out the backline. But that's kind of, again, predisposed towards like Mundo being your front line, and Mundo right now really isn't cut out to be a front line for anyone.
Bottom lane, there's the assault battery, and whoa, no. That's what happens when you build this sort of a Suicide Squad Vi. You deal so much damage, you're good at picking off single targets, and that's exactly what Mirror End just did.
So, No, who is also probably, I'm not singing his praises enough, but like he's basically one half of the problem for Power of Dreams, in that Power of Dreams is squishier than he'd like to be, and No is also outputting a lot more damage than he'd like to be dealing with.
Liquid might be in a little bit of problem here. He's going to get a command protect and a stand behind me to get out of that fight. Back underneath this turret. That regenerating shield's going to help Virtus.Pro here, but will it be enough to turn this fight around? I don't think so. You're going to see an immediate fight. Power of Dreams, very, very tanky, but look at Steve. He just doesn't take damage anymore. There's a command shockwave, but even it's only going to hit onto Sean, so he will disengage from the fight successfully. He'll stay alive. Sparta, they're just fighting underneath his turret like they just don't care. Power of Dreams, he's so tanky like we said. But he is just going to go down, and look at Steve. He just doesn't take damage.
Look at you waving your hands in the air like you just don't care. Care, damn it!
I was like, it's a turret. It's supposed to do something. Just kidding. Not to Steve. He's got, and look at the issue that I have with the Spuddington is that I could understand if you'd build full armor and didn't take damage from the turret. Steve has no armor items, and he still doesn't take any damage. What a monster. First base turret of the game going down to ThunderBot Sparta.
Yeah, the power of levels and flat health as well can do a lot for you. He's on nearly 100 armor already, so, you know, with presumably armor runes, and I would guess as well scaling armor runes, but even so, that's quite a lot of armor.
Man, it's gonna be a little bit rough. If turrets can't save you, then what will, Spuddington? And the answer is probably better shockwaves from Virtus.Pro here. Last fight, and I think the fight before that as well, he's hit like one person with them. Last fight he hit Sean's, but he wasn't even like taking the turrets, so maybe a little bit better positioning will turn these fights around a little bit more, but just look at the discrepancies starting to come out here. What is that, a 50-70 CS advantage now for his starter? It was just crushing this game.
A big, big deficit. And now Virtus.Pro, they're sat at their towers, and, you know, they want to turtle in, but they can't, really. They need to stop two things. They need to stop the 5 dragons, and that's not going to happen on the next one. Fair play. You know, they can allow the next dragon to drop if necessary, although they don't want to for obvious reasons. And but they also need to be stopping the Baron when that comes through. Because if they don't, they're going to have big, big problems. This is
catch attempt here on to Steve. They got a lot of damage. And there you go, Vincent Vega able to pick up the 11th kill of the game. There we go for Virtus.Pro. Of course, like I said, still versus 23 kills, and ThunderBot Sparta, they might have lost their top laner, but they're just going to push right down mid.
Oh man, No is so strong right now. He's got so much damage. Looks like they're going to go for the Baron. They know that that's not warded right now. Look at the pinks in the area, the sweepers. And Virtus.Pro, they have to contest it. They will lose the game if that Baron goes over to the enemy team, and TBS knows that. They can take advantage.
Oh, well, trying to escape this. Power of Dreams making a big, big push in for what could be the last fight of the game here. Sean's gets a nice double knock-up with that kick, and Star is immediately onto Virtus.Pro here, who's going to pop that Zanya's, but will he pop in the end? Where is this big ult that we were looking for? Not as big as you would have needed. Liquid gonna fall down, and once again, Power of Dreams, the last surviving member. What a triple kill, actually, there for Nono to finish off the fight. Can Sparta just finish off the game from that?
Looking likely. Even if they don't, I'd expect it. Yeah, surrender vote from Virtus.Pro, because there was no coming back from that situation. That was gonna be the inhibs, that was gonna be the Baron, that was probably gonna be a Nexus Tower, and might have been a finish straight up. So yeah, dominant there from TPS. Not a lot to say. They didn't play it particularly cleverly. They just generally outplayed.
And like you said, not a lot to say about that. Winning their lanes early on, and to be fair, I was actually a little bit more impressed than I expected to be with Mirror End's sort of Suicide Squad Vi. Yeah, as you would expect, has just as many deaths as he does kills from just diving into fights and picking them up with a very, very high damage Vi build. But in the end of the day, it was ThunderBot Sparta picking up the win here over Virtus.Pro and climbing even further up the standings. I believe currently sitting in second place, but with that win might have actually tied Roxkiss for first.
That may well be the case, but I think that's actually going to be the last game since the HWA game was cancelled. Correct me if I'm wrong here, Hexit.
I believe...
Or go AFK in the shower.
No, I think that is correct, or at least that's what he said. So because of that HWA cancel, I think, like you said, that is going to be our last game of the night. But of course, if you guys have enjoyed watching the LOL Pro League, you can find more information on their website. I believe the Russian version of their website is still up, so you can head over to lolpl.ru, and of course, lolpl.ru/results for all the bracket information. And of course, drop a follow on the stream. That'll let you know whenever we go live with more League of Legends Pro League action. So stick around, and do want to thank you for watching. My name is Rapid. With me is Spuddington, and on behalf of our production as well, I do want to thank you for watching, and just have a good night.